Let's see, now I'm live also on YouTube. All right, guys. So today we're going to be talking about um, training on keto. Okay, I'm going live 3 days a week in the 14-day keto kickstart. And what we're going to be doing is answering questions from the group, but I'm also going to be doing a um, specific topic. And today's topic, based upon some of the questions that I got, is going to be training on keto. Okay, so first of all, let me just go ahead and say that training on keto basically just has to do with the energy source that you're going to be having. Okay, when you don't eat carbohydrates, obviously what you do is you break down fat, turn it into ketone bodies. That's why it's called ketosis. And those are the things that you use for energy. Okay, there are different types of workouts that use different types of energy sources primarily. Okay, I mean, if it's extraordinarily short burst, it's going to be like ATP. Okay, I was ending triphosphate is going to be your source of energy. And then if it's going to be like a sprinting style, then you are actually primarily going to be best using carbohydrates. And if it's anything longer, okay, then you are actually best using fat, best being on a keto diet. Because one thing that you're going to notice if you're talking to anybody who does long bike rides or long runs is what happens when you have no more carbohydrates in your body. Okay, you take carbohydrates, you store them as glycogen in your liver, and you store them in your muscles. Okay, so if a person goes on like a really long, slow bike ride, I mean, slow is relative, obviously, but if you go on a long bike ride as opposed to a sprint, or if you go on a long run, at some point, if you don't eat, you are going to be out of carbohydrates, out of glycogen in your body, which means you're going to be quasi running on empty if your body is used to burning carbohydrates. I think bike riders call it bonking, and I know that runners call it hitting the wall. Okay, so if you are going to be doing something like extraordinarily, long, okay, like or anything more than a sprint, you are actually quite well fueled on fat alone, okay, on a ketogenic diet. As a matter of fact, like I said, you're not going to ever run out of fat. So if you're used to burning carbohydrates, as soon as your liver and muscle glycogen stores are empty, you have no more carbs, and that's when you hit the wall. Okay, if you are used to burning fat for fuel, you always have enough body fat. You are never going to be at a point where you have like zero body fat. Okay, so you're always going to have body fat that you could break down and use as fuel. As a matter of fact, there was a guy, I want to say he was Irish, who was extremely overweight, and he did not actually even eat for like over a year. It was like was it like 400 days or something? Like he legitimately ate zero for an entire year, and he just lived on his stored body fat. Now, I'm certainly not recommending you do that, okay? But I am saying that it is, like I said, it is certainly is possible as long as you have body fat. You are going to have an energy source, okay? So, like I said, if you're basically walking long distances, running long distances, riding your bike, rowing, whatever long distances, hiking, rucking, trekking, you are actually very well served just taking in fats. Okay. Um, if you are going to be doing something extraordinarily explosive, extraordinarily short burst, okay? For instance, I, for a long time, was doing workouts where I would do like 10 burpees, 30-second break, 10 burpees, 30-second break. And I would just do that until I did like 10 sets of burpees. I would do workouts where I would do like 2 minutes of jump rope as fast as I can. And then I would go ahead and I would hit up like a 30-second break, and then 2 minutes, 30-second break. Then I do a minute of jump rope and a 15-second break. So basically, it was like really high intensity for a short time, and then a short break, and then I have to hit it again. And when I did that, I actually did take in carbohydrates pre and post workout. Okay. Like I said, it's a very special case, and I actually did go ahead and I took dextrose powder. in my pre and post workout shakes. So it's dextrose powder and whey protein. They're very fast. Um, do you know if one can go to work on a construction job while fasting for a month? Only water for the person that's heavy. I would not recommend somebody go for a month without eating. Okay, and I am not a big fan of water fasting. Okay, but yes, theoretically, if you could, you certainly can actually do that. Um, as a matter of fact, I actually do have a one-on-one client who is an adventurer. He's ex-military and he's legitimately climbed Mount Everest. I mean, he legitimately takes people on extremely long adventure treks. And just to prove that it's possible, he went on like a 5-day water fasted trek. He basically walked across Australia for 5 days straight without eating anything, just drinking and taking salt. So yes, it certainly is possible. I do not recommend that. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but yeah, like I said, I don't recommend that somebody go fasting. Okay. Um, but anyway, like I said, if you're doing like extremely high intensity stuff, I did take in a little bit of dextrose powder pre and post workout. Dextrose is pretty much glucose, okay, which means it goes right into your muscles, okay. Most forms of sugar, like sucrose, which is table sugar, fructose, which is fruit sugar, etc., they tend to go into your liver first, fill your liver stores, and then they go to your muscles. The problem is when you're on a ketogenic diet and you're just taking in some carbohydrates for performance, you want them in your muscles because that's where you're going to use them. You do not want them in your you do not want them to be in your liver because first of all you don't use that when you're working out, but also your liver is where you make ketones, so it's not good to have carbs in your liver. So like I said, I would take some dextrose powder, which is pretty much glucose that goes straight into my muscles, bang out a really hard workout. But like I said, that was completely different. That was like a minute as hard as possible or 30 seconds as hard as possible, and then I'd go ahead and, like I said, take a short break and do it again. um, so that's the only time that you really cannot, you would be better served not being completely in a low carb diet. Um, Aside from that, like you could certainly lift weights. I lift weights in the 5 rep range. I lift very heavy. Okay. And I, over the course of a year and a half, built like 15 pounds of muscle. Okay. And a hell of a lot of strength just taking in fat and protein. So you do not need to have carbohydrates to build muscle. Okay. You do not have to have carbohydrates to build strength. Like I said, the only time that I would recommend that somebody taking carbohydrates, if they don't want to, is when they're doing something very explosive. For instance, I've got an MMA fighter who contacted me for nutrition recently, and if you're going to be doing, let's say, Thai pads or like focus mitts, where you start. We start like banging out like a bunch of punches, then take a short break and circle, then hit a bunch of punches, then circle, and a bunch of punches, then you circle, because that's how a boxing match or an MMA or a kickboxing fight is. There's like a flurry of punches, and then they kind of circle and circle, and then a bunch of punches. It's not like we've just punched at the same speed the whole 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So for something like that, yes, I would have somebody taking in dextrose, but aside from that, I would not have anybody taking in dextrose. Like I said, on a ketogenic diet, you could get just about any other workout in. Okay. So let me go ahead and just finish some of the questions that I got from the 14-day keto kickstart in Facebook. Okay, so what's my take on fasted training? Like I said, since you are burning fat for fuel, you've got a couple of advantages in terms of fasted training. First of all, your body's burning fat for fuel, so you always have body fat to burn, so you're never without a fuel source. Even if you haven't eaten, like let's say overnight, you wake up in the morning, you're still burning fat for fuel, so you still have plenty of body fat to burn. Okay. Um, I am not for fasted training, okay, but like I said, if you are on a ketogenic diet, it is more okay to do fasted training because you're burning the fat for fuel. Another thing about being on a ketogenic diet is because you're eating so much fat slows your digestion. So whereas if I were using this dextrose powder and this whey protein shake, I would take it like right before the workout, maybe 20 minutes before I actually started working out, because it goes into my body real quick. and like I said, you burn it up real quick. However, if you're going to be taking like, something with a lot of fat, it slows digestion. So you don't have to worry about this like pre and post workout window. As long as you've eaten within like an hour or a couple hours and you're not hungry, you can do your workout. And then as long as you're not starving, you can go ahead and wait to have your meal afterwards. So you don't have to worry so much about the pre and post workout nutrition when you're burning fat for fuel when you're in ketosis. But I'm still not a big fan of fasted training. Okay, that's actually like a personal thing. I always feel better when I'm not fasted, when I eat before a workout. I always feel I get a better workout in. I just feel a whole lot better when I go ahead and take my why you take so long to defecate. Okay, if you take a long time to defecate, you're not getting in enough water, fiber, or fat. That's just it. Like I said, like I'm on. I was taking at one point 4,000 calories. Like 70% of them were from fat, and I would just like walk into the bathroom and walk right out. So like, like I said, you're not getting enough water, fiber, or fat. One of those three if you're having problems defecating. Okay, but anyway, like I said, I do not recommend fasted training, but you have more leeway when you're eating a lot of fat because it slows digestion. So you always seem to have like something in your stomach that you're digesting. Okay, what do I emphasize most post workout? More protein or fat or both? Um, I don't really make any difference. Okay, when I eat post workout, if I was taking in dextrose pre and post workout as a fast carb source pre and post workout, I would not take fat because in that special case, I would want the dextrose to hit my body real quick, and after the workout, I would want the dextrose to hit my body real quick again. Okay. And fat, as I said, slows the digestion. So in that case, I would just want like whey protein and dextrose powder pre and post workout. But once again, like I said, if you are actually taking in a normal ketogenic diet, and you're not taking in carbohydrates, there's no reason to emphasize like protein. And I understand what the question is because some people say that like have like chicken or fish after your workout so you can digest it faster instead of like steak or something with eggs. Honestly, like I said, I built 12 or 15 pounds of muscle in a year and a half or so, and every day I've had fat and protein in all of my meals. So so like I said, there's no problem. It's not like I'm not going to digest my protein post workout if I take in fat. It's still, like I said, you're still basically all day going to be having some food that you're digesting. Okay. How to improve vascularity being keto? Okay, excellent question. I was saying, except for high intensity short burst training, okay, you're fine on a ketogenic diet, and the same thing sticks here. Okay, like I said in my last workout. I mean, I don't know if you could see my veins. You could probably see my veins. I'm literally sitting here with that. I don't even use my mouse with my left hand, but I've got veins coming out just sitting here doing it live. And that's like I said on zero carbs. Okay, vascularity comes down from having enough liquid in your veins, enough blood, which means enough water. So you have to be well hydrated. Okay. You have to be lean enough. Okay. You're not going to have lower ab veins if you have lower ab fat. So you have to be lean enough. And you need electrolytes. Okay. So, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. And I have never, ever had a problem with vascularity in my entire life. And I'm 48. I've been keto most of the last 8 years. Okay. And I'm one of those people when nurses see me, they run right up and like, oh my God, I'd love to give you an IV or I'd love to draw your blood or something because I always have a lot of vascularity in my forearms and my calves. Like I said, I mean, just, vascularity in my lower abs. Uh, because like I said, electrolytes and water. Okay. What I have noticed is if I lower my fat intake, okay, because I'm trying to lean out, for instance, I don't feel as full. My muscles aren't as full. They're not as round. They're not as puffy as when I'm taking in more fat. Okay. And that, of course, I don't really look as big and as muscular and as vascular as when I am taking in plenty of fat. But like I said, as long as you take in enough water, enough electrolytes, and you're lean enough, you'll see your veins, you'll see vascularity. Okay. Thoughts on having carbs as dates, bananas, pre workout. I, once again, like I said before, if you do take carbohydrates around your workout. Some people call it a targeted ketogenic diet. Targeted ketogenic diet basically means, like I said, that you take in carbohydrates right around your workout. It's targeted, and the rest of the day you're burning just fat. You're just in ketosis the rest of the day. I recommend, like I said, dextrose powder because it's practically pure glucose, which goes right into the glycogen stores in your muscles. When you start to look at fruits, one thing is it's going to, like I said, fructose tends to go to your liver and replace your liver glycogen stores first instead of your muscles. And the other thing is, depending upon what kind of a fruit it is, if there's a lot of fiber like fat slows digestion. So drinking whey protein with dextrose powder and water pre-workout, it goes right into your body. You feel it right in your muscles immediately. Whereas if you consume something like dates or something that's just like you have to chew it and swallow it, and your body has to digest it. And before you break it all down, like I said, fat and fiber tend to slow digestion. So that would not be as ideal, okay, pre-workout. Okay. We got some more questions here. Okay, here we got a couple more questions, just general questions from the group. Meal frequency. How important is it? I tend to wait until I'm hungry, but once I start eating, it's difficult to stop. Really hard for me to get satisfied. Okay, so first of all, I eat every 3 hours. I always eat every 3 hours. Okay. First of all, it's true that every time you eat protein, you start muscle protein synthesis, which means you're synthesizing protein. You're building muscle, which is a great thing. When you do that, okay, what it means is every time that you eat a meal, you are like starting the muscle building process. Okay, so the more often you eat, the more often you build muscle. So over time, you are going to have an advantage in terms of how much muscle you can build. Okay, um, number one. Okay, number two, I like to spread my meals out so I never really get hungry. Like he said here, he waits until he's hungry to eat, but once he starts eating, it's difficult to stop and get satisfied. So I always have like the first meal of the day for a person, whether they're on a maintenance, bulking, or a cutting diet, I have them eat the most fat first because you wake up, you should be hungry, okay? If you're not stuffing yourself and eating way over your caloric limit, you should wake up. You should wake up in the morning and you should, like I said, you should be hungry. That means you're basically metabolized all of your food and you're ready to go ahead and burn out some more food. So when you wake up, you should be hungry. You take a good meal with protein and fat. And what ends up happening is you satiate your hunger. Okay. And then you eat every few hours. So, like a few hours later, you start to get a little hungry, but it's okay. There's another meal. You start to get hungry. There's another meal. You start to get hungry. There's another meal. So, it's not like this whole thing where, like, I know that some guys like, it's like keto body. He's like, oh God, I'm blunting my hunger by drinking sparkling water. I'm blunting my hunger by drinking black coffee, which means you're hungry and you're blunting the hunger, trying to get past the hunger because you're fucking hungry. And every time I've seen a video of him where he's out eating, he ends up overeating. He's like, oh, I think I ate too much. He's eating tacos and he orders more tacos and more tacos. Oh, I think I went over my calories today. Well, no shit, because you didn't eat anything all day and now you're fucking starving and then you ate too much. So, like I said, what I always say is first meal of the day, a lot of fat, satiates your hunger. Every few hours, you eat smaller meals. So you start to get a little hungry, you eat, you're satisfied. Start to get a little hungry, you eat, you're satisfied. And I do that no matter whether it's a bulking, maintaining, or a cutting diet, but especially on a cutting diet. Definitely, I call it front loading your fat. Like wake up in the morning, have the fattiest meal, so because it's going to satiate your hunger longer. Okay, as opposed to like waiting to eat. Okay. For instance, I have one-on-one client. He asked me actually if he could have his biggest meal at the end of the day. And I'm like, well, let's try it like this. Big meal in the beginning of the day, spread your meals out. And then at the end of the day, we gave him some milk protein. We gave him some Greek yogurt with some whey protein, which slowly digests. And he texted me. He's like, yeah, it's great. He said that when he ate that meal, it totally, blew out his hunger because normally he's starving at night. So long story short, meal frequency, yes, eat every few hours. It builds the most muscle and it prevents you from getting hungry and overeating. And in terms of how to set up the meals, front load your fat, have a fatty meal first thing in the morning so that your hunger is satiated. Okay, next question. In case of slipping up, having a high carb day, is it mandatory to go through the 14-day fat adaptation phase again? Yeah, I mean, basically, the fat adaptation phase is basically we're just making it really easy, and we're not controlling our calories. We're making it really easy to burn fat for fuel. Okay. And we're going to do this until you feel fine, energetic, don't miss carbs, you're feeling great, you get hungry and you start to crave fat. Basically, you get plenty of energy from fat. You don't even see the keto flu because everything's fine. That's when you know you're fat adapted. So basically, all fat adaptation phase is like a ketogenic diet. So if you go a few days and then you eat a bunch of carbs, yes, you do have to start all over again. And it's basically like, um, you need to find out why you are slipping up and having a high carb day, as he puts it. Okay, because you're not fat adapted if you're still eating carbohydrates. Either you have a carbohydrate addiction you have not dealt with, okay, or you are hungry because you're not eating enough, okay, or you're not like fully in ketosis. Maybe you're not getting enough electrolytes, maybe you're not getting enough water, maybe you're not getting enough fiber. For some reason, you're hungry, okay, and we need to figure out why you're hungry and overeating and why you're overeating on carbs. So you're not fat adapted until you are no longer slipping up and eating carbs. Okay. So, like I said, if you are, like I said, suddenly craving carbs, it's anything from a carbohydrate addiction to less, too little water, too little electrolytes, too little food, whatever. That's the reason why I do not let anybody cut weight, like start a diet, a low calorie diet or a low fat diet when they're getting fat adapted. Eat as much as you want and even more. Get your body used to burning fat for fuel. Forget about the carbs, get over your carb addiction, and then when you are adapted to burning fat for fuel, then you can go ahead and start worrying about like exactly setting up your diet, exactly how much protein you need, how many calories, cutting calories to cut fat, etc. But first, you need to not be slipping up, because if you're slipping up and eating carbs on a diet where you eat as much food and as much fat as you want, you're really going to be hurting if you start dropping the fat and dropping the calories and you're actually hungry because you're in a cutting diet. There's no way you're going to survive if you can't go without eating carbs when you're eating all the food you want. Okay, so like I said, you're not fat adapted at that point. Okay, so let's see if we seen a few questions come in on the YouTube live. Right now, I've got basic bunch of stuff going on here. I got my phone for YouTube, and so there you go, boom, and live. There you go, boom, and live. Okay, let's see where the questions are. Okay. Okay, let's see where the questions are. Okay. So, okay, Bob, I weigh 220 at 5'11", trying to get down to 180 with a lot of muscle but lean. Any advice? Yeah, I mean, okay, like I said, you need to get yourself um, fat adapted. Okay, you need to, like I said, when you're fat adapted, when you're just feeling good on a ketogenic diet, then what I would do, and I'd recommend that you keep your protein up and that you lower your fat. Okay, you keep your protein up obviously to build muscle, to maintain muscle, and protein satiates your hunger. You're used to burning fat for fuel because you're fat adapted. So if you lower the amount of fat you're eating, you're going to have to make up the calories by burning more body fat. Like if you're taking in a whole bunch of calories in your food, your body will primarily burn that food for fuel. And if it still needs calories, then it will go ahead and start burning body fat for fuel. So if you reduce the amount of fat you're taking in your diet, it's going to burn that much more body fat. But since you are fat adapted, it's that much easier for you to burn body fat. Okay, it's not as difficult as if you were, like I said, burning, carbs, for instance, and then you suddenly dropped all of your, carbs and dropped your fat down. Do you know if you can work on a construction job while fasting for a month? Only water if the person has heavy fat storage. I already answered that. Like I said, I do not like water fasting. Is it physiologically possible? Yes. I mean, like I said, a guy went ahead and, very overweight person didn't eat for over a year straight. It was medically supervised. I think it was in Ireland in the hospital, not in the hospital, but he went to the hospital to get supervised, and yeah, he like he said, he was able to do it. I know somebody who walked 5 days across Australia with no food, just water and salt. So yes, it is possible, but I do not recommend that, because what are you going to do? Just not eat for a month and lose a lot of weight, and then go back to beer and pizza or whatever got you in trouble in the first place? Like I said, I recommend you go ahead and get fat adapted, find out your maintenance calories, go on a lower fat keto diet, and then go back to maintenance calories, okay, and stay on keto and stay on maintenance calories, okay? Because like I said, keto is not like a quick fix. Lose the fat real quick and then go back to beer and pizza, because if you do that, you're not ever going to make any progress. Okay, I'm a legit 212, but holding on to a lot of water and food weight, trying to get down to 180 by October 1st. Okay, 80, that would be what, 32 pounds from 212 to 180. You could do that in 3 months if you had to. So, yeah, you could do that in 3 months if you had to. And that's not even really killer. I mean, like 10 pounds a month, most people could do. Okay. Yeah, that you could easily do that. I would recommend you don't do anything crazy. But like I said, you could easily lose 30 pounds in, like I said, like 3 months. It's possible for sure. You could easily lose it in, like, 4 or 5 months easily. Okay. Steak and eggs. What fiber sources should you take? Yeah. Okay. So steak and eggs is a diet from Vince Gironda back in the 70s. When, if anybody knows, Arnold Schwarzenegger lost a few bodybuilding competitions. One of them was to Frank Zane. Schwarzenegger was in his 200s. Frank Zane was like 185 on stage. Schwarzenegger was a little bit puffy. Zane was shredded. So yeah, he lost the Mr. Universe, I think it was, to Frank Zane, and that was right when Schwarzenegger came to California to work with Joe Weider, and Joe Weider sent him to Gironda, and Gironda put him on steak and eggs diet. Basically, what it is you eat 2 meals a day, as much as you want of meat and eggs. Okay, and the idea is, like I said, basically it's you could only eat so much in one sitting. So basically, you just have as much as you want in the morning, as much as you want in the evening. When Vince Gironda went on it the first time, he ate 3/4 of a pound of steak morning and evening, and he had I think 3 extra large eggs. So those were his 2 meals a day. And he said he got the leanest that he's ever gotten. Okay, so yeah, the steak and eggs diet is a great diet. What fiber sources should you take? Gironda, after a while, said, like a green salad. I personally do not feel good if I do not take my fiber supplement, my sugar-free Metamucil. Problem that I have is I've been on vacations and I love eating salads. So I've been on vacations where I had like a bunch of vegetable, a bunch of lettuce or whatever for like, breakfast or whatever. I like, a big Greek salad for, like lunch, a big Greek salad for dinner, or a Cobb salad or whatever. And I didn't take my Psyllium Husk fiber supplement, and I noticed it. So I do not feel good unless I'm taking in, like I said, my Psyllium Husk fiber supplement for sure. Okay. Um, Yes, and like I said, if you're having a problem defecating, you definitely need to make sure that you take in plenty of water, fiber, and fat. Okay. So, especially if you're going to be on like a high protein, lower fat, ketogenic cutting diet, then it's that much more important that you get plenty of water and plenty of fiber in. Okay, having a lot of indigestion, burping, etc. up my fiber. What about adding a salad or even a pickle or two a day? Yeah, like I said, if I don't take in my Psyllium Husk fiber supplement, I really don't feel good. I'm not getting enough fiber. Like, so I like salads. I'm a big fan of eating salads. They taste good. I enjoy eating salads. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just to, head out in the middle of the day and take a break and have a salad somewhere. But still, like I said, if I only had one fiber source, it would be my fiber supplement, my Psyllium Husk. John B, he's on steak and eggs. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. I go to work at 10 a.m., don't get home until 10 p.m., only have time to have 2 meals a day. To be honest, what adjustments can I make? Yeah, steak and eggs diet for losing weight. The steak and eggs diet is 2 meals a day. So you would basically um, eat before in the morning and eat in the evening. But there's no, I mean, it's kind of crazy that you're from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., they don't give you a lunch break. That's like, I don't know about that. It's kind of crazy. So there's got to be some way that you're able to eat or do something in between, 10 and 8, because that's like 10 hours straight that they're not allowing you to take a break or not allowing you to eat anything. But I always tell people when they say that, I always tell people when they say that, like, oh, I don't have time to eat or whatever. It's like, listen, I know back in the day when people used to take cigarette breaks, like between when they were allowed to smoke inside and when smoking was like practically illegal. Okay. So, like, people would take a break for like every hour or every couple hours to smoke a cigarette. So there's, no way. Yeah, so there's no way that you can't just sneak out. The same thing with the bathroom. I'm sure that you go without urinating or defecating for like whatever, or drinking water. I'm sure you go out without you don't go 10 hours without that. So like I said, you go ahead and you get something in. I had a girlfriend years ago. She was a nurse, and I was like, all right, well, just go ahead and, like, first of all, I said, like, people smoke all the time. Why don't you just take a break to eat? And second, I was like, well, just go ahead and drink like a shake. And she's like, well, I want to sit down and enjoy it. Well, if you want to sit down and enjoy it, then that's the same thing as saying, like, don't do it. Fine, then don't do it. I deliver packages, so I'm constantly moving, lifting packages, walking a lot. All right, well, if you're delivering packages, you're sitting in a car, and you've got a little refrigerated bag next to you, a little, thermos bag, and you've got your, like I said, your food in it. At one point in my life, I was driving a whole lot. I was like driving like, like all day somewhere and all day back, like a couple times. Like, I would go down to Miami a lot. I mean, not for like vacations, but like I had to go down to Miami, so it was like an hour drive, like a whole day driving down there, a whole day driving back. And if I didn't stop at a rest station or something to urinate, okay, or to grab a coffee or something and eat in the parking lot, I would just drive my car and I would eat my food in the driver's seat while I was driving. So yeah, good, good, good. Okay, do we have any more questions? Did we ever get any questions on Facebook? I don't think so. Okay, now so another question that I got actually from the Facebook group was, I'd be interested in a training routine for the 14 days. Okay, so I asked her what her goals are for the training, and she said something just for the 14 days that I could do at home with basic equipment: treadmill, dumbbells, Pilates, body toner, resistance bands, to get some extra fat off for the short challenge. Thanks. Okay, so check it out. You do not need, okay, to burn, if you want to burn fat, you do not need to do any exercise at all. Okay, if you eat less than you burn, you're going to be losing fat. Or you eat less than you yeah, if you eat less than you burn, you're not going to be losing, you're going to lose fat. Now, um what basically the reason why I suggest everyone does some form of cardio and some form of strength training is because health benefits, okay, cardio for your heart and lungs, and also strength training so you have some muscle so you don't become like a weak old man or woman. And also because if you want to look good, when you lose the fat, you have to have muscle underneath it. Okay. So that's the only reason why you have to strength train or do any type of cardio training. Okay. Another thing is, during the fat adaptation process, you're not really trying to lose fat. So, like I said, the idea is to get yourself fat adapted. You'll probably lose a lot of bloat, a lot of water weight. You may lose some fat. I mean, if I put somebody on a specific fat adaptation diet, like a maintenance diet, I will have that they will be losing fat while they're on that diet. Okay, so you probably will lose fat, but it's not really like the point right now. But if you want to lose fat, okay, um, like I said, strength training is not really going to help you lose fat. This is something I've spoken about before. You burn basically about 15 calories per pound of body weight. So if you bust your ass, kill yourself, and you build 10 pounds of muscle over a year, which is incredible, you need to be a new trainer with a great program for lifting, a great program for diet, getting your sleep in, everything, low stress, everything's great. Maybe build 10 pounds of muscle in a year. 10 pounds of muscle times 15 calories per pound means you can burn 150 calories a day more. So you don't burn a lot of fat because of strength training or building muscle. If you want to burn fat, the best thing to do, which is to walk on your treadmill. I don't know what your habits are like. I like to go on a walk outside for an hour every day. I just walk, listen to a podcast or something, turn around 30 minutes later. That's my walk. If you have a treadmill and if you like to like watch TV or something like that, if you like to watch YouTube videos or listen to podcasts like me, you can put the treadmill in the living room. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day used to say that he would sit on an exercise bike and watch CNN for 30 minutes every morning. He says, I got my news in. This was before CNN became what CNN is, but he got his news in and he got his workout in. Okay, so like I said, if you want to, like I said, I suggest like an hour walk or like a half hour walk if you're starting out, maybe. Um, and like I said, that would be the best thing for fat loss. In terms of strength training, it really does depend what's not just what you have access to, but it also depends upon what your goals are and things. And there is a workout that I'm going to be putting up in the Keto Kickstart group tomorrow. Okay, which is basically just a bunch of static holds. I've done that before as like a rest day workout. Okay, where basically you don't actually do any calisthenics, but you'll do like a handstand against a wall where you have to tense your whole body, plank push-up position, one-armed plank push-up position, plank on your elbows, side plank, wall sit, etc. Different exercises like that, where basically, you just like basically could do them at home, and it builds strength, it builds muscle to a degree, but it's really good as just like a beneficial, like I said, strength building workout, just for like general fitness, general health. So I'll put that up in the Keto Kickstart group tomorrow. But like I said, the point to like I said, if you want to lose fat, the best thing you could do is make sure that your diet's straight, first and foremost. And if you want to increase the fat burn, like I said, go ahead and do some cardio training. Go ahead and do some long, slow walks or whatever. Okay, I think I got a couple more questions in on the. Don't you have SHBG issues on TRT from being keto? No, I don't. I don't. Okay, so everybody likes to talk about steroids. Oh my God, all those guys are on steroids. Okay, so like I said, back in the 70s, Vince Gironda was like the man in terms of bodybuilding nutrition. Even guys who didn't do his training certainly did his diet. Rio Blair was another 70s era bodybuilding nutritionist who did, he created like the first, he created digestive enzyme supplements. He created like the first real good protein powder, the first milk and egg protein powder. So those two guys were both into like high fat, high protein, low carb. Between the two of them, they trained just about every single 70s bodybuilder. Um, and actually, at the end of the day, like it certainly looked like their steroids were working. Like I said, everybody likes to complain. Oh my God, they're on steroids. They're on steroids. They're on steroids. Well, let's face it, those guys were all on ketogenic diets. They were all steak and eggs diets. They were all, drinking eggs and raw eggs and heavy cream and stuff like that. And the steroids sure looked like they worked. Some of the best bodies ever. So, like I said, I don't think that me and my TRT are going to be having sex hormone binding globulin issues. Like I said, it's nothing that I've noticed ever. Full disclosure, I was keto for several years before I jumped on TRT, so I can't say what it's like to be on TRT if you're not on keto. But like I said, I certainly never had any problem with that at all. Okay, usually 3 times a week, I would walk 6+ miles and do 200 push-ups. Okay, walking 6+ miles. So back in the army, we had rucksacks on, of course, but back in the army, the standard for the infantry was 15-minute miles. So 6 miles is like an hour and a half of walking. It's a lot. I mean, if you got the time and you like it, that's good. Um, and okay, 200 push-ups. Like I said, I just do my hour walk, which basically, like I said, the faster that I walk, the more distance I do, the more calories I burn in that hour. But like I said, I like to keep it down to an hour. But kudos to you if you're walking, like I said, 6 miles a day. 200 push-ups. Okay, two problems here. First of all, 200 push-ups, and I'm not saying it's a problem, but 200 push-ups, if you're doing that many push-ups, you're doing a whole lot of reps. What I would recommend doing is making the push-ups harder. So if you're doing push-ups, you could do push-ups, with your hands together. You could do push-ups with your hands together on a ball, like on a basketball or something, so it slides around, makes it more difficult. You could be doing push-ups on rings. You could be doing dips, which are basically like vertical push-ups on bars. You get strong at dips. You can go ahead and do ring dips, which is if you do like let's say 20 bar dips, you could probably do maybe like 10 ring dips. Okay. So, what I'm basically saying is, I would switch it up instead of doing 200 regular push ups. I would switch it up by doing more and more difficult versions. So, I would go ahead and do like, I would go, yeah, challenge yourself. Yeah. I mean, it's challenging to do 200 push ups, but like I said, do sets of 20 reps. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I would go ahead and I would switch it up so that I would do like a set of, let's say, ring dips. Okay. And I would do like, let's say, 4 sets of ring dips. Then I would do 4 sets of rows on the rings. Then I would do like 4 sets of ring push ups. And then I would do 4 sets of close hand push ups on a ball. Okay. And I would do 4 sets of pull ups. So the idea being basically the ring dips are the hardest exercise. Then after that, like I said, like ring push ups, close hand push ups on the ball, those are like hard, but they're easier than the ring dips. So, like I said, I go burn myself out on the hardest exercise, and then the next hardest exercise, and the next hardest exercise, instead of just doing a whole bunch of push ups. Now, the other problem that I really have with this, in terms of a lot of push ups, is you're building up your anterior deltoid, your front shoulder muscle, and you're not doing anything for your rear shoulder muscle. Now, I actually had a girlfriend who had shoulder issues because her front delt was so much stronger than her rear delt. And what she ended up having to do was like literally like stop doing any chest exercises, and she had to just do like rows, like TRX rows all the time to build up the rear shoulder muscle. I myself neglected my rear shoulder muscle, and it looked crazy because I had like no rear delt. And I started doing some serious, like I said, some rows on rings and build up my rear delt. And now it's like my shoulders round as opposed to like the side delt, the front delt, and the back delt looked like somebody had cut it out. Like I had like an accident and somebody had to remove my rear delt where there's like nothing there. So like I said, it's unhealthy and it looks bad. So by doing a whole bunch of push-ups, you're actually creating like a muscle imbalance, okay, which you really don't want to do. So be sure that when you're doing push-ups, like horizontal pushing, that you're doing ring rows, okay, and you're doing like a horizontal pulling. So that will actually even it out and keep you from getting the dangerous muscle imbalance that you look like a pretty young guy in your picture. Over the years, like I said, when you start to get like me, like 48 years old, if you have if your front delt is so much stronger than your rear delt, you're gonna have some serious problems there. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I think I got everything. Cool. Anyway, okay, I appreciate you guys jumping on the live from YouTube, and yes, you guys in the Facebook group. I definitely appreciate you guys being along for the ride. If anybody wants to join the how good is my German? I worked for a German company, so read, wrote, and spoke and everything. All right, Chris Kennedy, see you around, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Like I said, if anybody wants to jump into the Keto Kickstart group, the link is in my YouTube channel, Raw Strength and Muscle, in the community tab. Just go ahead and jump on in. We started a couple days ago, but like I said, all the information's there if you want to jump in. If not, subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate having you guys in the YouTube live. Thank you for the guys in the Facebook group. I will be talking to you tomorrow in the Facebook group, and we'll be doing our next live 6 o'clock Eastern time in the PM on Friday. Okay. Drop any questions you have for the next live down below. So talk to you guys. I appreciate